And right now I'm going to just introduce Dr. Ramig and Heather Hodges as well. Dr. Lorraine Ramig is an internationally recognized clinical scientist with an established research record in the areas of age and neurological voice disorders. Her research has been funded by the National Institutes of Health for over 20 years, and she has been a member of the National Advisory Council for the National Institutes of Deafness and Communication Disorders. She is a member of the ASH Foundation Board of Trustees. Having published over 100 research articles, she has received the highest professional honors of the American Sign Language Hearing Association. Dr. Ramig and her colleagues pioneered LSVT Loud, an evidence-based behavioral treatment for Parkinson's disease and other neurological disorders, and have trained over 20,000 speech clinicians and physical and occupational therapists in over 70 countries in LSVT Loud and LSVT Big. Dr. Ramig is the principal investigator for the collaboration between LSVT Global and Google on Project Euphonia. And then we also have with her Heather Hodges. She is a consultant, expert clinician, training and certification, faculty, and CE administrator with LSVT Global. She received her master's degree in speech, language, and hearing sciences from the University of Colorado. She also enjoys her role within LSVT Global, collaborating and presenting on Google's Project Euphonia, which aims to improve voice recognition software for those with this gets me every time, dysarthria and dysphonia. In addition to specializing in neurogenic voice and speech disorders, Heather worked for 13 years at an outpatient hospital, specializing in diagnosing and treating dysphagia, dysphonia, and upper airway disorders. She has presented nationally and internationally on LSVT Loud, Parkinson's disease, PVFM, VCD, cough, and dysphagia. Heather has published articles and a book chapter on speech treatments for upper airway disorders. Thank you both for joining us today. We're so happy and honored you are.
Thank you. And Heather and I are thrilled to acknowledge your support, PMD Alliance, for helping us put on our show today. And we hope that the people who are watching will learn about speech recognition in Parkinson's. And if you're interested in participating, Heather will tell you exactly how to do it. So our title today, Help Improve Speech Recognition in Parkinson's Disease. On with the show. We greet you from many places in the U.S. I live in New York City and am affiliated with Columbia University. Most of our work, however, took place in Denver at the National Center for Voice and Speech when I was a professor at the University of Colorado, and Heather was a member of our team at the National Center for Voice and Speech. Next. And we greet you from the international headquarters of LSVT Global, which is the main organization today that manages LSVT Loud and LSVT Big. So it's very thrilling to have a research laboratory developed treatment that has evolved into a product that is helping patients globally. That's very unusual in rehabilitation. So we feel very grateful for that evolution. Next. So the plan for our brief meeting today is I'll do a lightly over review of speech and voice disorders in Parkinson's disease, introduce Speech Accessibility Project, which is called SAP, which is the evolution of Project Euphonia. Your group had many patients referred to Project Euphonia, and if you were in that project, you can also be in SAP, the Speech Accessibility Project. Heather will talk with you about that as well as how you can participate, and we will have time for questions and answers. Next. So over 89% of individuals with Parkinson's disease suffer from voice and speech disorders. Effectively, almost everyone with Parkinson's eventually will have a speech or voice disorder. The classic symptoms are reduced vocal loudness, hoarse voice, monotone voice, and imprecise articulation. Next. Here's a great quote, and this was a patient that I actually treated in New York City named Natalie. "If I have no voice, I have no life." The bottom line is the ability to communicate is critical to quality of life, and that's why speech recognition is so important. Next. So the underlying basis for the speech disorder is complex, and it's probably one of the reasons why there has never been a speech treatment that was successful for patients with Parkinson's before LSVT. Underlying variables include hypokinesia, which means reduced range of movement, a sensory disorder. How many times have you told a person with Parkinson's your voice is too soft and that person goes, "No, you need a hearing aid. My voice is the same as it always was." There is a sensory disorder that's underlying the speech disorder in Parkinson's, and also an internal cueing disorder. What does that mean? You can say to someone with Parkinson's disease, "Talk louder," and they can. They'll raise their voice and talk louder, but what you do in speech therapy is teach them to be able to do that on their own, to internally cue themselves to increase their loudness. Next slide. So LSVT Loud has been funded by the National Institutes of Health in the US, which is the primary research funding organization. And we have carried out over the years 5 randomized control trials. These are the gold standard of evidence. What you see on the left is this hypokinesia, this downscaling of motor output in the speech mechanism of a person with Parkinson's disease, the respiratory system, the vocal cords, and the mouth opening. One of the significant cues we use with LSVT is increasing loudness. So when a patient increases loudness, all of these parts of the speech mechanism improve. The respiratory support, vocal cord closure, mouth opening, facial expression even improves. We have data on that, and out comes a louder, more intelligible utterance, and you're better able to understand. This is one simple piece of what happens in LSVT Loud that allows patients to improve their speech. Next. So today, LSVT is considered the global standard for speech treatment in Parkinson's disease. We have trained over 30,000 LSVT Loud certified clinicians in 80 countries, and we have a companion treatment for physical therapy called LSVT Big, and we've trained over 29,000 certified clinicians in 55 countries. So it's really thrilling to see the global impact of LSVT because it allows patients to improve their quality of life through enhancing their communication. Next. So now let's talk about helping improve speech recognition in Parkinson's disease. How do we take that reduced loudness, hoarse, monotone voice, and imprecise articulation and teach speech recognition software to understand it? So if a patient talks to Siri, Alexa, or when you call the drugstore to ask about your prescription and the automatic speech recognizer can't understand you, how can we help that process? And that's what this project is about. It's about teaching speech recognition software to understand Parkinson's disease. And this project, funded by these big 5 tech companies, will go on to study Down syndrome, cerebral palsy, ALS. But guess what? They chose to start with Parkinson's disease. So we're really lucky. We're in a good place, and we want to give them all the data they need to be able to solve this. Next slide. So the first project we did, and some of you may have participated in it, was called Project Euphonia. This was a smaller project, and it was a collaboration between LSVT and Google. And it was the first step in building a database for automatic speech recognition in Parkinson's disease. Next slide. So during that project, we had 67 different referral sources, organizations within the US and internationally as well, referring people with Parkinson's to the project. 498 people contacted us for screening purposes. 156 participants in the US completed the 300 phrase set from 18 different countries. We had a focus group also in Japan where we collected data from those individuals. And so we had one group collecting data in the US and another group in Japan, but we recruited patients from all over the world. And that was very exciting. We hope in the future, SAP, the Speech Acquisition Accessibility Project, will also be extended beyond the US. Next. So now we're going to talk about the Speech Accessibility Project, or SAP. Next. Amazingly, this project is funded by Google, Apple, Meta, Amazon, and Microsoft. These companies have gathered together to say, we need to work on improving accessibility for many variables in disorders, but they're starting with speech. This is thrilling. I have spent my entire life studying speech and Parkinson's, and to have this group of big tech companies focus on this is unbelievably exciting. And it's like Mark, who's our principal investigator, says, we're making history. And it's an opportunity, if you participate in this project, to be a part of making history. It's very exciting. And this work is begins at the University of Illinois at the Beckman Institute. So the grants from these big tech companies have been made to the University of Illinois, and we are, as LSVT Global, a recruiter, one of the subcontracts from the University of Illinois. Next slide. So Heather, take it away.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that introduction. And I will echo what Dr. Ramig has said about the wonderful contributions that got started with Project Euphonia and now has expanded. And so we're thrilled to be back. And as mentioned, we are accepting folks who completed Project Euphonia. This is the next and larger level. So we're really glad that you're here. And we'd love to share a video and some words from our collaborators at University of Illinois, as well as a person with Parkinson's who has an inside look into the project and accessibility as a whole.
Hi, I'm Clarion Mendes, and I'm a speech-language pathologist and a clinical assistant professor in the Department of Speech and Hearing Science at the University of Illinois in Urbana-Champaign. The Speech Accessibility Project is an interdisciplinary initiative with one shared goal: to improve speech technology for people with a range of diverse speech patterns and disabilities. Led by the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign with support from Amazon, Apple, Google, Meta, and Microsoft, the project brings together technologists, academic researchers, and community organizations to create the diverse speech data needed to make spoken interfaces more accessible for everyone.
My name is Mark Hasegawa-Johnson. I'm the William Everett Faculty Fellow and a professor of electrical and computer engineering and a full-time faculty member at the Beckman Institute for Advanced Science and Technology at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. The Beckman Institute was created for the purpose of bringing together researchers from many different colleges and many different departments around the University of Illinois. The Beckman Institute is the ideal place for the Speech Accessibility Project because making speech technology that works better for people with disabilities requires expertise from people in linguistics and from people in speech and hearing science and from people in engineering and from people in information technology. And there are not very many places in the country, in the world perhaps, where you can bring together all of those different disciplines and have them sit down together and meet together in order to solve problems of the kinds that we're facing.
Speech recognition is powered by machine learning, and without diverse representative data, machine learning models cannot learn how to understand a diversity of speech patterns. This project aims to change that by creating the data sets needed to effectively train these machine learning models.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kevin Kwok. I am a person living with Parkinson's for the last 14 years. I've also had the fortune of being on the board of the Davis-Finney Foundation, an organization designed to help people like myself live well with Parkinson's today. When I was still employed, my IT department they were trying to give me various voice activation tools or software to try to help. But I found most of those had limitations. For instance, if I were to use dictation software, I would spend more time having to go back and correct all the mistakes that were made. And when you don't have fingers that work with any dexterity, to go back and edit is in fact more work than you actually can imagine. So while as I love the fact that tools and voice recognition are out there, I don't think they're there yet to really fully accurately pick up the nuances of someone's speech deficits like my own.
Hi, I'm Polly Dawkins, Executive Director of the Davis-Finney Foundation for Parkinson's. We are located in Boulder, Colorado, but we serve a national and global community of people living with Parkinson's. The partnership with the University of Illinois is really exciting to the Davis-Finney Foundation and to the Parkinson's community. I watch people with Parkinson's attempt to use their cell phones, their tablets, and other technology, and they can't do it very effectively because their hands don't work well. To then try to pick up a piece of technology and use a voice recording and then not have the voice recorded accurately, not even be understood at all, starts to shut somebody down and has a person withdraw from communication, withdraw from their families, withdraw from community. If we can come up with a way that people with Parkinson's can start to re-engage using their voice, it would be absolutely life-changing.
If you or your organization are interested in getting involved, please sign up. We have begun recruiting participants from the Parkinson's community. Visit our website to learn more.
My entire career has been in the pharmaceutical industry, where we try to design new drugs to treat the issues facing patients today. And this is across 30 years of my career. The question is, am I optimistic? Well, when you think about the time frame that it requires to develop a new drug, it's decades, and it's not just short-term years. I would hope that with technology, with the bright companies and the bright individuals that are all getting behind it, it's that marriage of technology and wellness and healthcare that you can provide tools to us today for living better than it requires the pharmaceutical industry decades to develop a medication. So I'm maybe even more optimistic about technology companies getting behind this.
The Speech Accessibility Project is a multi-year research initiative. This will take time, but we've started something big, and we want you to be a part of it.
I love that video. I think it's absolutely so poignant and very moving, and it absolutely echoes the thoughts and feelings that Lori and I have with this collaboration of the technology giants, of the organizations that are helping us with this project, and with the participants themselves. So there's not competition, and instead it is collaboration, because this is so very important. We know, as the video mentioned, in the day and age of tiny keyboards on phones, mobility issues, and our potential benefit we have from our devices, the information we can get from them. But if only they could understand our speech, it would be so much more accessible. Or even safety concerns, such as getting across a dark room to turn on a light, versus being able to come into a room and say, Google, turn on my lights, and it's able to do that for you, and you don't have to navigate from a walking perspective or a navigation perspective. So there really are just endless possibilities within improving this technology. And so today we are recruiting, enrolling, and getting folks started. Many people have already completed the study. And so we're looking for those with idiopathic Parkinson's, multi-systems atrophy, dementia with Lewy body, progressive supranuclear palsy, those who've had DBS, those who have not had DBS, and really any other Parkinsonisms that are out there. There's no Parkinson's diagnosis that we don't need. We need all of your voices. We need to add to that diversity of voices. And so within that, we are recruiting those having small, subtle changes to their voice and speech, to more mild, moderate, and even severe voice and speech disorders. And as mentioned, but worth repeating, if you already participated in Project Euphonia, which was a Google initiative, you can absolutely participate in the Speech Accessibility Project as well. Some perks of the project: participants who complete the entire protocol can earn up to $180 in gift cards for participating. If participants require some assistance in their environment at home or in their living situation, anyone helping that individual navigate the technology or click buttons for them or otherwise support them can earn up to $90. And throughout the journey, we're here for you. So participants will be mentored throughout the project by a professional speech clinician, someone who understands the communication, the challenges, and can really be there to tailor your experience, make it very easy and approachable. We have a wonderful team of mentors standing by and at the ready, who love this project and love to work with you. So a little snapshot of the experience. First, we just say, sign up through the University of Illinois. We'll be sharing the link. We also have it in our slide set, various ways to get in touch with us. And the sign up does not mean that you are automatically, entrenched in this. This is merely a sign up so that you can have a phone call conversation with myself or one of my colleagues, and we can tell you more about the study and the qualifications and the ways in which we can help you through it. Those who proceed will meet over Zoom, usually just once, and you meet with a project mentor. We may screen your voice and speech a little further as needed, but what the primary goals of the Zoom meetings are to demonstrate how to provide voice samples, train you up and give you practice with it so that you feel really comfortable, or your helper in your home feels very comfortable navigating the secure research portal through Illinois. And if you have any questions or difficulties that arise during, you simply reach out to your mentor and we are there to assist. And so, because the project is focused on specific diversity within voice and speech samples, that's where Illinois found it was important to have the speech language pathologists specifically trained. We all have specific expertise with Parkinson's in particular. We're all LSVT Loud certified clinicians. And so you're really working with somebody who will be very comfortable in walking you through the program. We have specialty experience. And so you're well matched with somebody who can enhance the communication, enhance the voice samples, and the protocol for that. And with that being said, when we look at a snapshot of it, the voice sample that you use, the research portal, the recording, it's very intuitive. The controls on the site are very easy. They're very intuitive. You can record from a place of comfort, most likely your residence, perhaps your workplace or other facility. And you can do it from a computer or a tablet. And we say chip away at it. We don't expect anyone to do all of the project in one sitting. It might be something that you log in over the course of a few days and you simply chip away at the total prompts. The average time of completion is about a week. So it's not a longer, cumbersome process. It's something that's achieved in a short amount of time. And there's 450 prompts total. Most of those prompts are very short. They're things you may say to a device, such as, "Hey Siri," or "Turn down the volume," "Turn on the lights." So most are very short recordings, and that's where 450 recording prompts goes very quickly. There are some prompts that ask you your thoughts as well, such as, "Tell me about a book or a movie that you've enjoyed." And they ask you to record a few sentences on that topic. The reason that we are including both commands that we give devices, reading the text aloud, as well as responding to a prompt is simply we talk differently when we're reading than when we're thinking off of the top of our head. So the engineers have recognized that it's important to have that variety, to have both types of recordings present. And that also allows the off the cuff, off the top of your head responses to have that natural cadence in speech. We may be saying or pauses as we're thinking of the next word to say. Those are all items that are very natural. They're very realistic in real life. And that happens when we're talking to our device. So it's a really nice mix that keeps it very engaging and also captures all types of speaking situations. So it's really applicable to your phone, your Siri, your Alexa, etc. Those smart speakers, as well as when you call a customer service and you have to use your voice to select a menu or try to get to a live person. So it's a really nice subset and it goes very quickly. If you have a helper, they would be joining us on the trainings. We invite them to be present during the phone call so that we can provide information to both the participant and the helper about the study and answer questions that you both may have. And then in the Zoom, they are trained right alongside you, and we come up with the best way for the ease of accessing the technology and being able to record your voice. My favorite part is working with the individuals, with the participants in this study. And so I wanted to share with you real life feedback. These are real quotes from participants on what they thought about the study. One was, "This went so quickly and I loved meeting the team." Another, which I absolutely echo professionally and personally too, "I love that device companies are collaborating and not competing, so things improve across the board." And that's so very important and so very true. It's not just an iPhone that will get better or an Android. It's really working across the collaboration, across devices, so that voice recognition is now available. It understands you. You're not having to edit or change wild things that the speaker may have picked up on, the microphone may have picked up on when you were dictating a message. And so it really is this across the board improvement. And to piggyback onto that, another participant said, "It feels great contributing to research that will help so many." And talking about the research experience with the mentor, I was very kind to hear that she was thorough in explaining how to do it. That's our goal. Our goal is to make this very easy and approachable for you, which it truly is. They did a wonderful job over at the University of Illinois making a really great website interface on their portal. So it works really nice and intuitively. And this was really fun. This was from somebody who thought, "Oh my goodness, 450 recordings, this sounds like a lot." They found that it went quickly as well. And then they also added, "Having a daily job for my voice was unexpectedly fun." So I really love that. They were just in the spirit at the beginning of helping the technology, but then they had this wonderful byproduct of enjoying it and having fun. And that's one of our goals for you as well. So how to sign up? We have several options. One is signing up through the website. This is direct to the University of Illinois. go.illinois.edu and a /SAP registration. And I would like to reiterate that when you sign up, this simply puts you into the system so that we can call you. We can have that phone conversation to answer your questions and determine your interest, your availability, and if you meet the requirements. So there's really no further strings attached, so to speak. I'll also take this chance to tell you that with these options I'm presenting, the whole slideshow will be made available to you. Kelly and Eden will send out the PowerPoint after this presentation, and so you'll have all the contact information available. I believe it's also in the chat, or will be in the chat, so there's plenty of opportunities to get this information down for you. Really cool in this day and age is QR codes. So it does have a QR code. If you're able to take your phone or your tablet and hit the scan button, it'll go right into the registration website. And your help is needed. Your voice is so important. Without you, we can't do this. Way back when smart speakers and voice recognition was first being developed, it was done so on perfectly clear, very precise speech and talking, which is not very naturalistic. So not only do we need voices to help improve what used to only be programming on very clear voice, we need diverse speech. We need speech and voice samples that really represent all types of environments, conditions. I love that they started with Parkinson's disease. I think that that's so very meaningful and speaks right to our hearts. So please know it's very important and very needed. You may have also seen a flyer being distributed. As noted in the video, Davis Phinney Foundation is one of the recruiting partners. So if you see this flyer, from other recruiting sources. You can also use the address here to click or the QR code there. There's also this 1-888 number, a toll-free number. So 888-309-6499, and you can leave us a voicemail. Let us know what times work well to call you. If you don't reach a live person, we might be on the other line with participants. So let us know when is a good time to reach out to you, and we can set up that convenient time that works well around your schedule. And truly, the participants, we need your voice, we need your help. We also, with like the biggest, warmest hearts, thank the Parkinson's community. First and foremost, I want to thank PMD Alliance for having us today, for supporting us throughout this research journey from Project Euphonia and now to this bigger, more inclusive scale with SAP. We truly can't do this without the recruiting help from you guys. We also have folks who have helped us with this project, including Carol Walton with the Parkinson Alliance, Eli Pollard with World Parkinson Coalition, Joe Rosen's Parkinson's Resource Organization, the folks at Cure PSP. Our main helpers and players are listed here. Joanna Teeters, Dr. Christoph Diaz, and David Kemp. The Davis-Finney Foundation, Parkinson, PD Avengers with Larry Gifford, Sharon Krishler with Twitchy Women. And so this list is, I know, not totally comprehensive. I feel like I'm at the Academy Awards or something, and I'm saying, I know I'm forgetting someone to thank. But this list of supporters has been so vital. We have a big goal of getting this research with Parkinson's. We're wanting to get a large number of samples because the Parkinson's voice matters. The Parkinson's accessibility matters. We want your devices to work better for you, not just for convenience, but for information, for safety, etc. And of course, what speaks to Lori and I's hearts is communication. We want you to be successful communicating, whether it's sending someone a text from your phone or looking up directions, etc. We want that communication to not be frustrating. And I will also really point out a big thank you to participants. One of our most wonderful referral sources is when there's a participant that completes the study and they're able to go to their community, go to their friends within the Parkinson's community and say, hey, I did this. You should look at this and sign up too. And so we thank the individuals as well that help get us to our goals. And so with that, we'd love to answer any questions. I know Eden's been monitoring the chat. And so we welcome questions you may have during this presentation. And then we also do have contact information for us. And a big thank you to everybody involved, everyone who took the time out to be here today. And we have information about LSVT as well. At the top of the presentation, Dr. Amig spoke about speech therapy and the need and the pervasiveness of speech and voice changes that occur with Parkinson's disease. So if you have questions about LSVT loud, LSVT big, there's a host of resources on the website. We also have a phone number and an email here if you have questions that are treatment related as well. So with that, Eden, are there any questions that came up during the discussion?
First, I will say, this actually came up yesterday in one of my support groups, my flying solo group. We didn't realize it at the time, but she's in your study. She said it's by Google. And I'm like, huh, I thought most of the studies were through universities. And it was really pretty cool because she's a little hard to understand sometimes, especially with the Zoom. And so she often will use the chat, but then she said, like she actually had it programmed to like talk for her. and she was saying how it was like part of what she was doing and she was participating in it. So we did put a bunch of information in the chat. So as always, I encourage everyone to save their chat. If you click on the 3 dots when the chat opens, you can, then it'll launch and you can say save the chat, because we did put in some links and everything. We will have the video and the slides available tomorrow on our website, but it's just nice to have the chat right there and not have to go through the slides. So now, one question was, you mentioned you can kind of go at your pace and that most people take about a week, but is there a minimum amount of time? Like, are you guys kind of like, we'd like at least 10 minutes a day? Or are you sort of like, you do it when you feel like it? How does that work?
That's a really great question. And sometimes it can depend on how the individual is feeling. Not only do we want people to do it at a time where they're not going to strain themselves or run themselves into the ground because they're tired. There's also a balance where we do need voice and speech samples that are not perfectly clear. So we have some people who say, oh, I do log in an off period or when I am a little tired, so that I know I'm giving a voice sample that has some hoarseness or mumbled or slurry speech. And so we tell people there's no minimum amount of recording you have to do each time you log in. But we also know that momentum really is helpful. And so we see that those who are able to log in for maybe 30 minutes throughout the course of each day can really get that idea of chip away and the ability to get it done in a week. Now, whether that means you do 10 minutes 3 times a day, or maybe you have a really open schedule on one day, so you do 60 minutes, there's no maximum or minimum. But I'd say a great goal is to do at least 30 minutes each day so that you ride that momentum, you keep in the zone and the rhythm, and you're done within the week. If something special comes up, you can reach out to your mentor and they can come up with a plan for you, so that we know we're keeping on track and keeping the samples approachable for you and enjoyable to do.
That's beautifully said, Heather. And I'll just reiterate the fact that it's up to the patient to set the course. And because they're dealing with professional speech clinicians who have experience with Parkinson's, they can understand when the patient needs to slow down or the patient needs a little more time. So it's a very comfortable experience. And the other point Heather made so well is we really want patients to do their quote unquote natural speech. Sometimes patients feel like they sit at the computer and they're going to perform and they're going to have a loud LSVT voice. And we're like, no, no, no. We want a voice that will be challenging to a speech recognition system. That's how we can train them to be able to understand you. So Heather's working with a relative of mine, and I said to him, when does your wife yell at you that she can't understand you? And he said, at the end of the day, I'm sitting on the couch and she says, get louder, get louder. I go, that's the voice you want to use when you go to put your words into this computer. So the point is, don't worry about having a wonderful voice. Have the voice that when you try to talk to Siri or Alexa, they don't understand you. That's the voice we want to be giving to this project.
One question did also come in. You covered it, but I figure it bears repeating that this is all done remotely. Nobody has to come in. So
yes. It's really wonderful. And I will tell you, when we did the first project with Google, it was right in the middle of COVID and nobody could go anywhere, but they could sit at home and they could do their voice recordings at their computer and we were able to get data. And I mean, no one liked COVID at all. I lived in New York City the whole time, and so no one liked it. But there is a bit of a silver lining in that we've learned we can do things virtually. And it makes it easier for patients that they can record their voice from their home, or if they're in an office or wherever, and it's comfortable.
I did also just want to, because we spoke about this beforehand, people can reach out, but that doesn't mean, as we put it, it's not like you're buying something. You know, you can get some information. You can call and just ask for information. If you've got questions, you can reach out. You can email. You know, if you click on that QR code, it's not like, ha, we gotcha.
Right.
So we do kind of just want to talk about that a little bit, that you can get more information. You're not purchasing anything.
Right. Exactly. It feels like now when you go online, they're always selling me perfume or candles or something. And I feel like if I put my name in, I've committed. Not that. If you click on the link, you call up, you provide your information, a wonderful expert speech person will call you, talk to you, explain the study. And after you hear about it, you can say, nope, that's not going to work for me. That's okay. Or you could say, yes, it sounds wonderful. So the point is, filling out the form simply gets you the call of a wonderful speech clinician who will give you all the information and answer every single question.
This came in through a direct message and I don't fully understand it. I don't know, you talked about if you previously participated in another project, you can do this. Someone asked if you're already enrolled in Project Relate.
That is another Google initiative that was part of what the speech samples from Project Euphonia helped to create. And so that is an app that's Google specific. So if you are involved in Project Relate, you can also still do the speech accessibility project. That won't be a disqualifier. And we thank you for all your great contributions across these different, very important studies.
This is a funny question. Does this work for Canadians?
Good question. Not yet. It is right now for the United States. So those residents in the US, but stay tuned, stay posted, and hopefully we'll get to Canada one day.
And you can understand, I mean, I love that question because I want to be global with this idea, and so does everybody. But the bottom line is, if you're trying to train a speech recognition system to understand Parkinson's speech disorders, it's probably easier to start with a single language and a single country. Now, that's the beginning. But when we did Project Euphonia, we were totally international. We had individuals with Parkinson's from all over the world, and that was very exciting. So clearly, when this works, which it will, we're making history, we will then be able to think about offering the opportunity to train the speech recognizers with different countries, dialects, etc. And that's very exciting to think about.
And I will add to that too, that if you live in the US, but you have perhaps an accent or a dialect, you are able to participate in Speech Accessibility Project as well.
Question about the mentoring. Can you tell us a little bit about that? What does that entail? If people need help, can they reach out? Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. I can speak to that. I'm the sort of the lead mentor on the project. And so you can think of us as a guide. We are there to help you to produce the natural voice and speech samples that we need for SAP. We are also there to guide you through how to access the platform where you're able to provide the voice and speech recordings, answer the prompts. And so we're really there as a guide to walk you through each step of the way so that you're not left to your own devices. There's nothing that you have to navigate or negotiate by yourself. We're there for you. And so if you are in the study, it starts with a phone call with one of us. If you proceed and you actually enroll into the study, we walk you through the ins, the outs, the procedures for it. And absolutely, if you're in the middle of recording and you have a question that comes up, you have a direct contact, a person and a face that you know that can help answer questions or troubleshoot if there is any troubleshooting. I will say they've done an amazing job at Illinois with making the platform user-friendly, very intuitive, and very well maintained, where you're not running into troubleshooting situations. We're here if you need something, but they've done an amazing job keeping the platform usable and just so very well run.
Can we put the website up again? That did come up in the chat. If we could just cut and paste that again. I have that. I know Kelly has that. Another question would be about what's the timeline like? Like, let's say I'm like, I want to do this program, but after this program, I have a support group because resilience is next. But then after that, I'm like, I want to do this. So I click on the QR code or I call. What happens then? Is it like tomorrow I'm set up, or is it like, well, someone's going to get back with me? What does that look like?
It can be just that fast, where you sign up one day and we strive to reach out to each person within the same day that they sign up, and find a time that works for you. So you're not having to play phone tag, or also so that you know when we call, that it's not a spam call, that it's a call that you are wanting. And so we start with a quick phone call, tell you more, talk about some of the requirements. We do a little assessment of speech, and then you're perhaps the next day enrolled, you're getting trained by us, and you're off and running. And so we have had some people from start to finish do it in the whole thing in less than a week. So if you are thinking about scheduling ahead of time or wanting to fit something in before the next event, the next life event, we can absolutely work with you on that. And that's a great piece of communication too for us, where having a guide or a mentor, we can keep you on track. We can keep you on that schedule, like Lori mentioned, where we can run at your pace, run at your speed.
Then also, what would happen if I know I'm forgetful? So I'm like, I want to call you today, but the grandkids are coming next week. What happens then? If it's because life happens that, I'm like, if I don't do it today, if I wait till the grandkids leave, I'm going to potentially forget about it. Or I'll be like, what was that thing I wanted to do? So how would that work? If it was like, I want to get started, but I want someone almost to call me back in a week. Is that something that can be done? What happens?
Absolutely. I would say when you're on this meeting right now, or as soon as you get off, go ahead and click the website, sign up. We have this really cool feature. It's sort of like when you sign up for a restaurant reservation, where you can click a button and pick a time. So if you know, I'm going to be busy today, but I want to talk to them on Monday, you just click that button, you find the time that works for you. It's all of the times are automatically set for your time zone. So you don't have to worry, is this Illinois time? Or you don't have to worry anything about that. We've automated that feature. So you can absolutely set up for a future time. And then you've done the due diligence, you put in your information, and we call you at a time that's convenient for you. So I would say as many people as possible sign up as we're chatting, or immediately afterwards, and just find a time that works well for you, and we'll work with that.
The gentleman in the video, I forgot his name, with the Davis Finney board member. And he talked about how his whole career had been in pharmaceuticals and developing medications, and this takes a while. Is there any sort of timeline for this new technology to potentially be released, be available, be usable? Because I mean, at the end of the day, that's what people want. Is they're like, I'm going to do this because I want the end game of it. I mean, maybe they will enjoy it, and I hope they do, but part of it is the end game.
So maybe Mark wants to make a comment in that regard.
I think that's a great idea.
I do too. Mark is the principal investigator at the University of Illinois, who was awarded this giant grant, and he's fantastic.
And Mark might need to be given permission to unmute, perhaps.
Oh yeah, unmute him. Yeah.
And so if you can see, there we go.
There he is.
Thanks. Hi, thank you for, thanks, glad to meet you. Yeah, so we actually have, so people from those 5 companies have already downloaded the first cut of the data and are already starting to use it to train speech recognizers. We don't know how long it will take before that shows up in product, but we know that they're already doing experiments trying to make the speech technology better using these data. So
that's wonderful.
So we can't, we're not allowed to make any promises because we don't know how, how long the experiments will take, but the experiments have already started.
That's fabulous. And that's why we need all of you and all of your friends to give us your voices as soon as possible. If these tech companies are already working on data, they need your voice and speech as soon as possible. And Heather and other colleagues like her will help you through the process. So it's very easy and fun. And, you're really, I think this is Mark's quote, you're making history. Nothing like this has ever been done before with voice in Parkinson's. You can be a part of history. And that's what's so exciting for us. And so we really encourage you to join and come on in. Yeah.
I have one question. I'm assuming that using your computer or tablet built-in microphone is okay.
Yes.
Yes. Yes, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's a really good question, because in the old days, when I was in my research lab where I had to collect all my data in an IAC booth and, had these very fancy microphones and all of this, we didn't have good microphones. We didn't have laptops even back then. We didn't have good microphones. But now we want you to be using what you will be using in the real world. And that's a microphone built into your handheld iPhone or Android or laptop. And if it works with that, it's good.
Thank you, the 3 of you, so very much. This has been so informative. I really encourage everyone to go to the website, make the phone call. If you have the QR code, use that. This is just really helpful technology that's meant to help you improve your lives. As always at PMD Alliance, we have a tradition, our wave of gratitude. Thank you so much for gifting us with your time today, and we hope you have a wonderful rest of the day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you being such a wonderful host.
Yes.